Hello laddies, Ninjato64 here.
Hey, did you hear? Epic Mickey received a remake under the name Epic Mickey Rebrushed. To celebrate the occasion, this will be my first time playing the game. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and now I have the game for myself. As you can see here, I'm playing the original Wii version. Even though the remake is coming out, I usually don't buy remakes or remasters unless for reasons. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the new game. Before starting, the main thing that got me excited for this game is the box cover. The title has Epic in the name, and his art style of Mickey is pretty epic. It looks like he's ready to battle some demons with his hero paintbrush. It's so cool. For Wii era graphics, everything from cutscenes and gameplay hold up really well. The game starts off with Disney's most iconic character, Mickey Mouse, getting out of bed and entering a workshop through a magic mirror. Yen Sid is using a paintbrush to create a world of forgotten things known as Wasteland. When he goes and rests for the night, Mickey sneaks in and starts messing around with his creation, while also creating an ink monster or something. Mickey returns back to his world, and many years have passed. Then one day, that same ink monster enters Mickey's mirror and pulls him into Yen Sid's creation. This once magical place has now turned into a post-apocalyptic landscape. Based off the cutscene, I assume this game takes place after Mickey's walk to fame. For the first level of the game, Mickey's being held hostage at the Dark Beauty Castle by the Mad Doctor. Get me out of this thing! He then escapes, but he faces the ink monster who seems to be afraid of the magic paintbrush Mickey picks up. The Mad Doctor escapes, but out of nowhere, Oswald accidentally pulls one of the Mad Doctor's levers, and now the big mechanical arm that was supposed to be used to steal Mickey's heart goes rogue. A mysterious gremlin named Gus appears and helps Mickey on his adventure. But first, he tells Mickey to break the control panels in order to disable the mechanical arm. Along each area, Mickey will come across collectible pins, reels, and etc. 100%ing this game is ridiculous, because you basically need to have a minimum of 3 playthroughs since there's multiple alternative paths you can take. I would recommend watching this video by Pleasant Gradient if you need a guide. So Gus explains that the monster is called the Shadow Blot, which is made of both paint and thinner. Mickey also discovers he can use his magic paintbrush to paint and thinner on certain objects and structures. Paint creates while thinner vanishes. So you spend the next few minutes using these abilities to solve puzzles and fix up walls. Now it's time for some action with our first enemies to fight, the Bloppings. Here, you can use thinner to completely defeat them, or use paint to manipulate them to obey and attack other enemies. After going through this area, we come across our first projector screen, which is how you travel from one place to another. Entering one of these will bring you to one of many short levels based on classic Mickey Mouse shorts, movies, and etc. The first one being based off Mickey and the Beanstalk from Fun and Fancy Free. Now moving to Salon, and here's the part of the game that really annoys me. So apparently I'm supposed to get these stream pipes in order to get one of the collectibles. And I'll admit, I wasn't paying attention to one of the dialogues from Gus, so I missed one of them. Once I got towards the end, the door behind me closes, and now there's no way back. I know I messed up, but can I at least go back and fix it? And of course this game autosaves. Real great. That's the other thing about this game. If you messed up on a quest, you may not be able to retry until the next playthrough, which I looked up is about 10 to 20 hours. Darn. Finally, I 100% Epic Mickey. Yay! Now we follow Oswald to his area, which features Disney rides based off Dumbo, the Flying Elephant, and Mad Tea Party. But if they were abandoned for years and still working. So we defeat some Bloplings to save Gremlin Tim. Gus teaches us the use of Guardians, which are these magical sparks. Splat thinner on one of the teacups to get a wrench, so Tim can fix the elephant ride so he can jump on higher ground. Use your abilities to make the gears rotate and stop in order to platform them. To get to the pump, which uses paint to fill it up, which fixes the teacup ride, and now you get your collectible. I probably should mention that the camera controls are not good. They're not bad, but way too slow. This can be quite annoying since this is a 3D sandbox-like game, and is kind of less linear than Super Mario Galaxy. We now travel on this boat ride, but they are jammed up. So restore the hippos with our paint, splash thinner on the pipes, and now to the next area with a whirlpool. Watch out! Time for a new enemy, the Sweeper. This broom-like ink monster likes to launch slime or green ink at you. They're pretty easy to fight though. Throughout these areas, you'll find these gremlins that need to be saved, and will give you a nice reward, but I'll explain that later. I tried to get one of the chests, but I'm not sure how to get to it. I painted a splash thinner, but nothing seems to work. I was able to paint this one pillar, and it looks similar, but nothing. I even tried painting one of the whirlpools to see if it does anything. No. So I did some more gear platforming on these bridges, boat hopping, save more gremlins, hop on this hippo, and now those gremlins come in handy. Instead of fighting a few sweepers, they're all defeated thanks to them. Now we come across Small Pete. Small Pete? I don't get it. Is he supposed to be small or something? Is there something I'm missing? Small Pete says he's been with the gremlins for years, causing them trouble. Then one day, he crashes his ship, and the gremlins will forgive him even though it was an accident. The gremlins won't let him near his ship, so Mickey has to go onto the ship himself to receive the captain's log in order to prove his innocence. Now we enter, I believe, the China part of the world of gremlins. Comment below if this is wrong. Oswald has moved to the next area. In the meantime, we'll save more gremlins and hop on and off boats. These scary dolls definitely remind me of It's a Small World. I'm happy that developers were able to make a creepy version of Disneyland without Disney themselves thinking this will tarnish their image. There's this one section with slow spinning blades, which start off easy, but gets harder once you have to turn these valves. So we do some more platforming, get the chest, figure out this gear puzzle to get to another chest, jump on the crazy dragon to step on the platforms. Aladdin left his magic carpets all over the place, and now it's time for our next projector. This Mickey Mouse cartoon is based off Steamboat Willie. Same cartoon that's now in the public domain. I have to say, I really like these levels. I actually went on Disney Plus to watch some of these shorts, which made me appreciate not only the levels, but the references. I did skip Fun and Fancy Free since it is a full movie. Maybe one day I'll watch it. Anyway, now we enter the village which has been attacked. There's broken pipes spearing thinner everywhere, Gus's house has vanished, so let's restore them, fix Gus's house, enter Small Pete's ship to get the log, and show it to the gremlins. There are two more Disney ride references, like the magic carpets of Aladdin, and maybe Barnstormer, I think? Throughout this whole time, I completely forgot to use my guardians to lead me to where I'm supposed to go next. So sometimes I end up running around everywhere until I find an exit or treasure. Now we move on to clock cleaners. Mostly platforming on gears and metal plates. I need to stop saying platforming. Finally, after all these years, Mickey was able to get rid of that stupid stork. Excuse my language, I forgot this is a somewhat family-friendly channel. So Mickey gets to the top of the tower, which will use paint for this pump to spawn the next projection. This is more of a second part of clock cleaners, but instead of a vertical level, it's horizontal. I recognize this one reference. Poor Goofy. If this was the Statue of Liberty, I would say, "Gorge, pardon me, ma'am, I didn't know you were a lady." Next is the European boat ride. I'll defeat more enemies, open up chests, and Small Pete gives us treasure for helping him out. At first I thought he was going to betray us the way the scene plays out, but luckily not. Here's Steamboat Willie Part 2. Nothing seems too different, but hey, you can go into the ship now. Now it's time for the first boss, the Clock Tower. Looking up the boss's backstory, the tower has gone crazy after hearing It's a Small World so many times. It's ironic, but kinda sad.
Hello laddies, Ninjato64 here. Hello laddies, Ninjato64 here. Hello laddies, Ninjato64.
Stop it! So he dodges fist attacks, splash thinner to weaken the boss, and then it's time to move on. I also found out you can paint his arms, which will save him rather than defeat him. But I found out about this afterwards. Mickey and Gus enter the main part of Wasteland, a place created by Oswald to replicate Disneyland and allowing rejects, forgotten, and rough draft characters to live here, to make them feel needed, a happy place. Until one day, the Thinner disaster struck, and the Blot have arrived. turning this place into a ghost town, now known as Mean Street. Oswald right now has entered one of the projectors, but it's currently broken. So we gotta collect, hold on, I gotta hook up my nunchuck to my Wii remote. So we have to collect 2 gears in town. The first one we gotta collect is from Big Bad Pete. It's mentioned that a lot of the same characters, or similar ones, will show up constantly since there's different variations from other stories. Pete says he lost to a race against Gilda, and as a reward, he gave her the gear. So we talked to Gilda, and now we need to follow Guardian for the best time. Okay, so we don't actually have to race her, we just need to beat her time. The race was pretty easy, and we got the gear. We also need to find her axe, which she left behind, but we'll get back to that later. Before we move on, I get to the front of Mean Street to see the partner statue. But it's not Mickey Mouse. This scene with Walt Disney and Oswald was one of the greatest things seeing for the first time. Not only for remembering the memory of Walt Disney himself, but essentially witnessing an alternative timeline of what if Disney never lost Oswald? Even Mickey is sad. Also, Steamboat Oswald. So now we enter the detective agency to meet Horace Horsecollar, who's a bit of an obscured character, but looking him up, he does make a few appearances. So to get the gear from him, we need to talk to Casey, the Emporium owner, to receive a book he borrowed, but Casey lent it to Paulie, the ice cream owner. Onward, we get the book, return it to Horace, get the gear, return to Gremlin Marcus. Unintentionally, I stayed idle in this one spot the whole time in another room, and all these residents stopped by in front of me. Funny. And that wraps up things for now. So after playing the game, the first few hours of the game, I'll admit, I thought the game was kind of boring. Mainly because all you really do is paint and splash thinner, with a bit of platforming here and there. But the more I played, I started to really like the charm of this game. The platforming is a bit basic, but it makes it up for the mix of old and forgotten ideas put together. I think it's definitely worth a try. With that said, thank you all for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video. Until then, so long laddies.
Todd, my man, how's the zombie killing business?